Hello, I'm MonoDev. I'm a new developer working in a game called MonoTheocracy in my spare time. MonoTheocracy is an RPG heavily inspired by In Stars in Time, Omori, Enna, and Undertale, with a healthy dose of analog horror mixed in for some darker concepts. It originally started as a Pokemon-inspired creature collector where you explore a post-apocalypse collecting part angel, part animal creatures, but over time it's warped into its current iteration, which is an RPG about regret, religion, and change. One of the recent changes was an engine switch from Godot to RPG Maker MZ. The more simplistic development software seemed like the best idea, especially because I actually properly came up with a story for the game around the time. So the old combat, overworld, basically everything no longer fit my vision. Monotheocracy is a world in which God is real, but not a god of our earth. The deity in this setting is called the Being, and the main plot revolves around climbing the heavenly spire, ascending up to this god's domain, and directly speaking to it. Along with God existing, so do angels. Angels come in different ranks, and the higher up they are, the more feathers they drop when they die. Feathers can be eaten to gain power, functioning both as the XP system and as a currency system. The downside of the feathers is that they drive you insane and warp your form as you eat more and more. At this point, no normal humans are left, and everybody has become monsters known as Twisted from this consumption. Monotheocracy will be releasing in acts, so the first release will be Act 1, and each act encompasses a floor of the Heavenly Spire. The first floor, which is going to be released as the first act, is already planned out, and it's the Bizarre Bazaar, a place overrun with Twisted that have turned the bottom floor into a tourist attraction, but a sketchy one at best. The enemies here are the overconsumers of feathers that have been driven to madness by their angelic power. We have Evelyn, a sentient pile of ooze. She's our protagonist and has 8 main masks she wears every day, each encompassing a different emotion. You can probably tell that this was heavily inspired by Enna, but I still hope I can put my own interesting spin on the concept of characters' emotions acting as separate personalities. Then we have Nicodem, who's a cat-like guy who is addicted to gambling. I haven't really figured out the depth of his character yet, but that's the basic concept for him. If you made it this far into my bad explanation of my setting and characters, thanks. This is my first ever original game. All my other stuff is either failed projects or tutorial slop, so I appreciate the interest. Looking forward, the next devlog might not be for a while, as I do everything I can to avoid making development a chore. At this point it's a hobby and I can only create when I'm in the right headspace to make the best things I can. When the next devlog is out, I expect it to at least cover the combat system.